Merrick Garland just had a press conference confirming that he personally approved the search warrant that was executed on Mar-a-Lago earlier this week. He took the extraordinary step of commenting on a pending investigation. And because it's such an unusual thing for a prosecutor to comment on a pending investigation, I wanted to react to this press conference that he just had. First of all, it was the right thing to do. And the exception to prosecutors commenting on pending investigations typically happen in matters of great public importance and where there is misleading information that they're trying to correct. And for the last 2 days, Donald Trump has been announcing that he was under siege. He's accusing the FBI of planting evidence at Mar-a-Lago and criticizing the prosecutors and law enforcement of the Department of Justice and the FBI. And in a situation like this, with such misinformation that he is putting out there to try and undermine law enforcement and undermine the efforts here, it was right and is right for Merrick Garland to come forward and finally comment on what's going on. He confirmed that he personally approved the search warrant, and he also alluded to the fact that they did try much less restrictive means than going in with a search warrant, like a subpoena, because a lot of the criticism has been that how could you possibly do a search warrant on a former president? And so he alluded to the fact that they did try less restrictive means like a subpoena. So I think that was important to confirm as well. He also reinforced the importance of the rule of law, that the law is applied fairly without fear or favor, and that defendants are entitled to a presumption of innocence, all important things that should be reinforced and that he did reinforce, that is going into the decisions here. So what he confirmed and what he announced was that they're taking the step to unseal the search warrant. And as we all know, or I should say, as we've discussed in prior legal AFs, search warrants have three parts to them. There's the actual affidavit, which is like the application for the search warrant. And that's where all the facts and the law are, where they establish that there was probable cause that a crime was committed and that evidence of a crime will be found in a particular location, and they have to put details. So for example, it wouldn't say search all of Mar-a-Lago. They would have to say this room or this safe or this location for this particular document or documents or items. And then, so that's the affidavit, and that's what goes to the court. And then the court issues what's called the actual warrant, which is usually a page or two, where it spells out, it's like a court order that says you are permitted to go to this location, search for these items. And the warrant is what is given to the person at the premises. So that's what Donald Trump would have received. They don't get a copy of the affidavit. And the other thing, that the third piece, is what's called the search warrant return. And that's just like a list of what did we take, right? It's like an inventory, or what did we take? And we may or may not see that, because if the allegation here is that there were classified documents that were taken from the White House. And so I'm not sure we will see exactly what the documents are if they are classified, but perhaps a description or a redacted description. So those three items are what is part of and commonly known as a search warrant. Donald Trump should have two of the three. He should have the warrant and the return, or the list. And he's making all these accusations that, like I said, the FBI planted evidence, and he's calling into question the legitimacy of the search warrant. And so he could release it to the public, but he's not. For some reason, he wants to keep it secret or hidden. And Merrick Garland called his bluff and said, you can't just mislead the public and say this. And at this point now, I think the public has a right to know, and has a right to know the truth, because the truth does matter. And so they made an application to the court to unseal these documents, and hopefully we will be seeing them at some point. I do think there could be a slight delay, because there is in this application to unseal, there is a provision for Trump to to contest this in court if for some reason he's worried about his privacy. But I think that the judge is not going to allow him to assert that, because he's the one who told the public that he was under siege to begin with, that there was a search warrant to begin with, and that they were there. So he opened the door, and he's the one who made these false allegations. So I think any judge is going to say, I'm unsealing this, and we'll be able to see finally, once and for all, what this is. So stay tuned. I think Merrick Garland did a great job. And as a former prosecutor and as former law enforcement, I was heartened by the fact that he defended the men and women in law enforcement, because he should have, and he did. And that makes him a great leader, and they deserve to be defended. They have a tough job. So that's my reaction to the news today and to his press conference.